Konnichiwa minna, boku wa Jeremy desu. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu. And it is another Sailor Moon Crystal Day today, and we are now into book number 4, which is the Sailor Jupiter one, and aptly titled Act 17, Secret Sailor Jupiter. I have little notes that I took while I was watching the episode today, and stuff happened that I figured would, considering reading the chapter. Unuzaki-chan is supposed to show up in it again as the waitress at Crown Parlor, but she doesn't, and again they're kind of leaving her out of the series, but they're keeping Asanuma-chan in there, and he did have a much bigger part than he's had in the past, and of course today was all about Makoto. So little bits here. One thing I actually was going to double check here. Early on, when Chibiusa was playing in the arcade, she was playing the Sailor V game, and Sailor Venus's pen goes off. And I don't know if you guys can see, because maybe it's too far away, but the pen is different than what we see in the anime episode. It's the Sailor Venus transformation star pen thingy-majigger in the anime, whereas this one is just the regular pen from the manga. So little differences there. The arcade is laying out a little bit differently. It's a little more high-tech. Sorry, I'm rocking back and forth. I'm in a rocking chair. I tend to do that. So, yeah. This episode overall did showcase a lot more of the comedic elements that myself and many others have felt have been lacking from the Sailor Moon Crystal episodes as of late. They're really amping up a more playful rivalry between Chibiusa and Usagi, kind of reminiscent of the older series, which is really nice to see. I'm really glad about that, and it's good because of all the darkness that's been going on, obviously, with Mars and Mercury being taken away. Other little things, Mamoru mentions to Chibiusa that the girls have work to do, and he has, in the manga, he has to go do his university stuff, so he says that she needs to go home. So she goes back to the Tsukino household, and in the manga she overhears a conversation of Ikuko Mama talking to Kenji Papa on the phone, but in the anime he's in the kitchen with her. So again, little tiny nuances, little bits of differences and stuff like that. So yeah, just things to add to it, I guess. And now later on, Mamoru I guess he just was gone, and then he runs into Chibiusa later on in the rain. Excuse me. You could tell that Chibiusa feels neglected and alone, of course. They're really amping that up. That is what her character is supposed to be like. She's a lot more enjoyable in Sailor Moon Crystal so far than she was in the original series, I'd say. I will throw that out there. But seeing Ikuko and Kenji reminds her of her own parents. So you see that kind of comparison there, because Ikuko and Kenji are in the kitchen, and then it shows Endymion and Serenity, and it's like they're not paying quite enough attention to her, at least from her eyes, and it's always been like that. It's always through her eyes. It's never really the actual case. It's just how she perceives it, and children are very much like that in general, so it makes sense. One thing that I loved was that we got to hear Sailor Pluto's voice through the Luna P ball, and it's different from the original anime series, at least from the English one and the Japanese one. I don't quite remember. I think that Luna P originally had the voice a little bit stifled, a little more mechanical, even though it was Sailor Pluto's voice in there, and now it was more clear with this and sounds more loving and more Pluto-ish, if you will. And she says abracadabra, which they really push on, and it's so close. It's just like the musicals and everything. It's so neat seeing that collaboration. I mean, it's exactly what happens in the manga, but still the whole theme of abracadabra really plays an important role, especially later on with Black Lady. So instead of touching her hand, Mamoru ends up touching her shoulder and sees an image a little bit different from what's in the manga, but same sort of idea, Crystal Tokyo, though he doesn't realize that it's Crystal Tokyo. And now he's starting to feel, okay, is this my power? Like, what's going on here? Kind of like his healing abilities. And one thing I'm really excited for, and I hope to keep it in, next episode is the debut of Tuxedo the Smoking Bomber. So we'll see if that actually happens in the Sailor Venus episode, which will be happening in 2 weeks. And it's going to suck a little bit, because it's going to be an hour later. So instead of 2 a.m. right now, it's going to be 3 a.m. because of the time change, which starts tomorrow. So, or Sunday, so yay. Anyway, when it shows the Black Moon family, there is no exchange between Prince Demand and his brother Saphir this time. It's strictly, he's talking to Wise Man. Wise Man tells him to cool his jets, to keep it, you know, don't go so fast. And then Rubius and Pets come in and explain their whole plan. And instead of asking to be alone, Prince Demand just takes off afterwards, and we see Neo Queen Serenity in a bubble-y thing like we sort of did with the original series as well. Other little things I've noticed is Mamoru was drawn better, and the guys in general were Asunama-san, Motoki-kun, and Mamoru-kun. They all look like guys. They look proper, in proper proportions. And one scene that stuck out the most, I guess, was when they're at Crown Parlor, and Asanuma comes in and he's kind of sitting there overhearing the conversation, and the way Mamoru's sitting, you know, very much like a typical guy would, I guess is the best way to put it. But he actually looked proper. So I love the facial expressions. Asanuma, when he sees Luna talking, overhears her talking, and overhears the little conversation. I really enjoy that. I love the little bits where whenever there is a secret, of course, and then someone finds out about it, whether it be a soap opera, superhero thing, whatever, in the live-action Sailor Moon, when Naru-chan found out about Usagi being Sailor Moon and Motoki finding out about Makoto being Sailor Jupiter. I loved it. Great little nod there. It was wonderful storytelling. It was fantastic. It added a whole new depth to it. Asanuma-chan finding out about this through Makoto. You know, she's letting her guard down a little bit around him. He's represents that love that she never really felt that she had, that she always chased after but never really had it. And finally this guy comes to her and he's willing to help her, and he offers this stuff, and it just gets her right in the feels, I guess. Makoto gets statically charged when sick, so I guess that's kind of a power type thing. It would have been funny if they would have used that in the No Thanks Nurse Venus episode. I forget what the actual Japanese title was, but when everybody gets sick except for Venus. So you see these little elements from the original series where they draw from the manga, but they expand on them in different ways. And remember, there was that demon that had the shot and everything. Yeah, so another comedic episode. Let's see. Oh, here we go. This is one thing that was driving me nuts, and I feel like such an adult perspective from this, is Makoto needs to cover her freaking mouth more. There were times that she did, but a lot of the time she's just like, you know, like, spread the germs, go ahead, you know, because everybody wants to be sick. So, cover your damn mouth, Makoto. Again, no Unozaki. No mention of Makoto's friend either. In the manga chapter, when she's talking to Asanuma in her apartment, she's like, "Oh, you remind me of a friend from my past," and blah, blah, blah. But no mention of her this time. She just says, "I can't lie to those eyes." And I really like that she has her little dog Stuffy and she's holding him and she's talking to him, and just little details like that are really nice, and it really shows that Makoto, while strong, is also very insecure in many ways, and still very feminine, very ladylike, and they've always done that throughout the whole series. The musicals of late tend to show more of her tough side. I am so sorry. But there are still elements of her being dainty, ladylike, kind of that sort of thing there too, which they've always tried to portray in other aspects of it. When Luna and Usagi are at the house and they're talking about how Usagi's resilient to this virus and stuff, she never really, Luna doesn't say the part where, oh, well, you get lots of sleep, or you have no shortage of sleep, so maybe that's why, which I think would have been just a quick funny line to put in there. And I also wonder why Minako and the others can just freely go into the arcade anytime they want, especially since Motoki doesn't remember, at least not in Crystal right now, that, or at least they never showed that he did, that he was down in the secret headquarters. In the manga, yes, they do. They have that in there. But in Crystal, they haven't really gone over that, which is kind of a glaring thing. But it's just like, oh, go to the arcade whenever you want to. Day and night, open, close, whatever. You'll get in somehow. what are they, thieves or something? I mean, Sailor V was kind of, well, she was portrayed in some ways as being a thief or going after the silver crystal at first, like way back in the day, especially in the live action version. It was more Tuxedo Command that was, but they had little passing things, I don't know. Anyway, the droids have alien eyes in this. They actually have like the gray alien style of eyes, which was an interesting thing. When you look at the manga versions, they're not. They're more a weird rounded sort of, I don't know what Naoko was doing, but in this one they really are going for the whole alien thing as our culture sees aliens nowadays, with the grays and all that kind of stuff. So that stuck out as interesting to me. The fight scene with Makoto and her droid look-alike was very reminiscent of the musical one, especially the one that they filmed on the last day in was it Osaka or wherever they were, and just the actress playing Jupiter and the one playing her look-alike, just like getting right into it, and it was like a mock wrestling type thing. This one is very similar in a sense, like just grabbing the way she talks to them and stuff like that. I thought it was great. When Makoto transformed into Jupiter, it seemed like her sickness was gone until she started fighting pets. But I'm not even so sure it was the sickness that was causing her weakness. It seemed more like how they did it with Ami, where she's thinking, like they're preying on the fact that she's alone or she might not have the strength for it. But then Ami thought about her friends, and then she gained the ability to be able to beat Berthier in the last one. However, it seemed, in contrast to that, Maze, stop it. That's my cat. Hey, come here. He wants outside. I'm not letting him outside. Hey. My apologies. In contrast to that, it seems that when Makoto thinks of Asanuma-chan, she gets weaker. Now, whether it's that whole love weak in the knees type thing, I don't know. It's just, it's weird, especially from when they're trying to say before how they draw strength from the friendships and stuff like that. It's just a little bit weird, and it's not what happens in the chapter. So a little bit different there. The moon rod got longer during Moon Princess Halation. Interesting. And there was no Venus Love Me chain either, which I thought was very odd and glaring as well. But maybe because Venus's chapter's coming up next, they're going to have that in there. Now, I don't want to spoil it for you guys that haven't read the chapter, but there's going to be a tiny bit of a happier ending on the next episode if it follows how the manga chapter is. So make sure to go and read that ahead of time, unless you don't want to have it spoiled. You can look. So that's good. But I did mention it already earlier without thinking. But yes, Tuxedo the Smoking Bomber is supposed to make a debut in the next episode as well. Thankfully. I've been wondering about that. I've been wanting that to happen. Tuxedo Command deserves to have an attack. And it'll be nice to actually see it animated for once. So hopefully it actually does happen. I really hope so. I mean, this is like the reverse sort of thing from coming from a guy's perspective. Or, you know, back in the day when you'd watch a lot of superhero type things, it was mostly male dominated, of course. So there would be the, whenever the girls would see a female superhero and having that empowerment, it was great. Just like now, it's the exact opposite, like Vincent Carrazza and Ron Rubin were talking about before, as coming in as voice actors from used to doing predominantly male roles, like superhero type things, and then coming into this where they're the secondary characters, it's a completely different thing. So now we're rooting for, as a guy, for Tuxedo Command to have that power and stuff too. So it's interesting, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, that is my review for it. I really liked this episode. It was very fluid. It flowed very, very well. I liked all the animation elements of it. It was great to see, and I'm glad to see that Crystal is continuously getting better. Anyway, let me know what you guys think down below in the comments, and don't forget to check out my radio show if you'd like to at www.thex.ca every Sunday from 2 to 4 p.m. Pacific Time, and it's local radio in Kamloops here at the university. Animé-d in Japan, Insanity on the Radio, featuring Japanese music at its best. So I will see you guys later. Jamatane mina. Thank you very much for watching, and remember, the next Sailor Moon Crystal episode is in 2 weeks, and it will be an hour later because of the time change and stuff. So for West Coast like me, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Today it's 2 o'clock, but I will see you later. Bye-bye.